Well, she could never play sports because of an illness, and now she can run for miles.
We're going to have the inspirational story of her 26-mile run through Boston.
This is something else, an inspirational run by a local woman.
How she went from walking with a cane to finishing the Boston Marathon. Well, we are just 3 days away from Marathon Monday, and there will be plenty of inspirational stories in the 114th Boston Marathon.
One runner in particular from last year is hoping to help motivate people to lace up their sneakers this year. She was diagnosed with polio at 5, but managed to run the marathon at age 55. The night team's Rhett Lewis has her story.
And I was in a brace and using a wheelchair and a wrist splint and a cane.
Not for long. After years of suffering, Mary McManus decided she wasn't going to take post polio syndrome sitting down.
I want to be free in my body. I want to dance. I want to walk.
With the aid of Spalding Rehab and an angelic personal trainer, Mary began to reach her goals, but she didn't stop there.
I said, I have one more goal. And she said, what's that? And I said, I want to run the Boston Marathon.
A daunting task for someone in perfect health. Mary encountered her fair share of challenges.
I really had to overcome a lot, not only physically but psychologically, to know that I belonged among these people.
After 13 months of agonizing training, much of it in the brutal New England cold, Mary McManus conquered her limitations in Heartbreak Hill, crossing the finish line here on Boylston Street with her husband and her daughter at her side.
When they heard that I was going to do this, they said, well, you're not going to be out there by yourself. And I said, well, you guys have never run a marathon. And they said, we don't care. We're going to do it with you.
Making the 7-hour, 45-minute journey to the finish all the more memorable.
It was a moment of celebration. It was a moment of redemption. The fact that here I was, a polio survivor, I crossed the finish line of the Boston Marathon.
Rhett Lewis, 7 Sports.
And we've gotten to know Mary from her visits with us at the Health and Fitness Expo every year. And really, what an absolute doll when she shares her story even in person.
Right, and we've been inspired by her story at the Expo, so we just thought we'd share it with you. And many people will be out there at the marathon looking for her again this year.
Yeah, she's so appreciative. All right.